Hey Cake Chums, and welcome back to another video. Before we get started today, I thought I'd just explain where I've been for a couple of weeks, because the eagle-eyed amongst you have probably noticed that we haven't had a video for a couple of weeks. I'm a bit annoyed about it because obviously I planned loads of Pride-themed content, but as is sometimes the case, life got in the way. So not last weekend, but the weekend before, I ended up helping out a friend with a wedding after she had a bit of a family emergency. So I ended up making the cakes, and that was all great. I even posted a couple of TikToks from the making of process. And then last weekend, I was actually working on a tutorial for how to make a cake topper of Trixie Mattel, and then proceeded to drop her off my workbench, face first, onto the floor. So obviously, it wasn't really usable after that, and unfortunately I didn't have time to reshoot. So that's why we didn't have a video last week either. But we are back this week, and Pride Month might be over, but that doesn't mean I haven't got loads of amazing video ideas coming up in the next few weeks. Today's video is actually a little bit different because it's a re-edit of a day out that I had a couple of years ago actually. So pre-COVID, you will see people not wearing masks in rooms together. But I was re-watching this video myself a couple of weeks ago, and I just remembered what an awesome day it was. And it was in the early days of my YouTube channel, so it wasn't the best video. So I thought I'd take the original footage, see if I could work with it and turn it into something else. So in a second, you will see the day that I spent with the Bake with a Legend team, which is basically an organisation that launched in 2016 off the back of the success of the Great British Bake Off. And the founder, Josh, launched it so that regular people like you and me could spend the day learning to bake with some of our favourite bakers from the tent. They work with all sorts of incredibly talented bakers from the Great British Bake Off, including Dan Beasley-Harding, Jane Beedle, Ian Cumming, Sandy Doherty, Howard Middleton, Andrew Smith, and even more besides. Some of my absolute favourite bakers. And as I say, about 2 years ago, I was invited to come along and spend the day baking with Jane Beedle from Series 6, I think. It was an absolutely amazing day and I had so much fun, so I thought I would share it with you guys again, and hopefully it might inspire some of you to check out Bake with a Legend as well. So without much further ado, let's get to the video. Now, Bake with a Legend operates all over the country, but for the session I took part in, we went to a place called Morangos in London. It was actually being filmed by Airbnb as well, because I believe they were in the process of launching some packages in partnership with Bake with a Legend. So quite often during my footage, you'll also see another camera person wandering around as well, and that's what's going on there. I've heard talk of some eclairs, some soft proof. Now you're also going to see various talking to camera bits with baby YouTuber me from 2 years ago, so do bear with him, he's trying his best, and he clearly was a lot shyer than I am now. Now we started the day with a bit of an introduction from the awesome Lowry, who kind of runs things on the day, and she basically introduced us to the concept of Bake with a Legend, and of course to Jane herself. Now I've been lucky enough to bump into Jane at a couple of different events over the years, but this was probably the first chance I had to actually get to know her properly. Now I hadn't mic'd up Jane, obviously, because Bake with a Legend and Airbnb had mic'd up Jane, and they were already doing me a massive favour by letting me film in addition to Airbnb. So apologies if in some places the sound is a little bit patchy, but hopefully you can make out what is being said.
Well, I hope so. I always find scones hard. Everybody makes scones, but scones are actually quite fiddly, I think. And eclairs, well, they're just... I didn't want to do eclairs, but everybody wants to do eclairs, so we do eclairs. We're going to work in pairs, so we're working in pairs, aren't we?
Now I was paired up with the lovely Emma, who very kindly agreed to allow me to film the entire process of us working together on our bakes. So a massive shout out and thank you to her. And this was round about when Jane outed me as a professional baker to the rest of the attendees at the day, which meant, of course, their expectations of what I would be able to achieve suddenly increased exponentially. So thanks for that, Jane.
So this is the easy bake that you can just blend. We'll just go in, and if you get the stuff that's, I can't remember what it's called, but it comes in the more yellowy orange tin. That's stuff you have to reconstitute first in some liquid. So go for the green, it's the easiest.
As you can hear, Jane was full of lots of really helpful hints and tips throughout the day. And in addition to the 3 recipes we were making, there were also lots of opportunities to ask questions as well. You can see here that I resorted to nodding along as much as possible, so I really looked like I knew what I was talking about. You'll also probably spot that some of my control freak tendencies did sneak in a few times, although I tried really hard to make sure that Emma was getting more than her fair share of actual baking time. I think coming up is a moment where I kind of basically snatch it off her and take over again. I promise that didn't happen too much. There's also lots of clips of me filming Emma doing various things, whilst also filming myself, filming Emma doing those things. It's also very strange now looking back at the sorts of things that I used to film for my YouTube channel, having basically spent the last 18 months just sat here in the studio filming myself. I honestly can't wait to be able to get out and about again. It's something that I've really, really missed.
Team effort. Okay.
That was just me being heckled by a room full of people because they clearly spotted that I do like things done a certain way. Oops.
So, I mean, the boys like to do.
A warning next time.
Wait, is your stretching?
I'm just going to remind you though, what was that younger girl called early on? Who was doing that and she flung it on the carpet?
Oh, yes. I think it was last week. It could have been Catherine.
Yeah. It was indeed Catherine. You'll remember that she was absolutely mortified at the thought of serving green carpet fibres to Mary Berry. There are certain aspects of baking that over the years I've kind of just modelled my way through, even though I didn't really understand them. This is a prime example. I've never really understood what I was looking for with the window pane test, so having the chance to find out from somebody else and hear people ask the questions that perhaps I was too embarrassed to ask after the amount of time I'd been baking was really, really useful.
You just gave enough to do that to me. Thanks.
Every time it's really like good to learn, and then however it goes wrong, it's your fault. You'll notice that I spend more than a reasonable amount of time making sure that my rolls are beautifully arranged on the baking sheet. I still do this now. You'll see later on in the video that those lovely bits of paper with our names on all blew off as soon as they got into the fan assisted oven, but it was a nice idea.
What can I say?
There's lots of points during this video where there's background music playing, so I'm hoping that there's enough talking over the top that I won't get copyright stricken by YouTube. But if I suddenly start playing some audio over the top to drown it out, you'll know why.
When you re-roll out your trimmings or re-push together your trimmings, they won't make pretty scones, but they will still be just as tasty.
Regular viewers will know that I do pride myself on my scones, so if you'd like to learn how to make them, I do have a video right here on my YouTube channel. so much of it isn't actually to do with the recipe at all, but to do with the techniques that you use. So highly worth a watch even if you make scones regularly, because there might be 1 or 2 tips that can help you make them even better, hopefully. Oh, in a second I'm going to show off my technique for turning flour and butter into the perfect breadcrumby consistency. There it is, look at that. Again, you see that in my video. It was deemed so good that it actually got a close-up from the other photographer, so there you go, you know it's not just me making things up. As you can see, one of the really great things about the day was that we literally were baking pretty much the whole time. Everything was spread out so that we had time to do one thing, and then while that went in the oven we worked on the next thing, and then that went in the oven and we worked on the next thing. There wasn't really any time when we were just sat around waiting. As you'd expect, the day wasn't without incident. For example, when our hob stopped working, but we got there in the end. And this was when we moved on to making choux pastry, which at the time I considered my Achilles heel. It wasn't something I'd ever really managed to do successfully. So if nothing else, I took away confidence in my ability to make a choux pastry. That didn't stop me constantly running up to Jane, of course, to check that I was doing things right. We seem to have gone a bit blurry here. I'm not entirely sure why, so apologies for that. But basically we are now adding the eggs to our mixture. And then giving it another quick stir. The emphasis being on the word quick. And then of course running to check with the expert that I had actually managed to make choux pastry. Look how happy with ourselves we are. Little high five and everything.
Don't worry about making them too beautiful, they will be absolutely fine. Take a little bit of water, and sprinkle it on your tray. The steam really helps.
Are you loving life right now?
100%. Very nice piping there, Judy. Emma, very good.
That's fun.
Oh dear.
Do you want to add a little bit?
Time to taste the spoils.
It tastes delicious.
Team cream first. Fun fact, I believe the cream tea was actually invented at Tavistock Abbey in Devon, thereby making it a Devonshire cream tea. Although Cornish cream teas have kind of become the more famous type, I personally believe that if it was invented in Devon, then surely the Devon way is the right way. This is the hill that I'm prepared to die on. But feel free to come at me in the comments. I have very broad shoulders. Look at those beautiful rolls. Quick little egg glaze, or possibly a milk glaze actually, we might be using milk. And then those are ready to go into the oven. And then we are topping our chocolate eclairs with a chocolate fondant, not melted chocolate as many people do. And that's fondant, the runny fondant that you can see it's using, not fondant like American school sugar paste. But that's a whole other conversation.
All our bits of paper seem to have ended up at the bottom of the oven.
Mine are the ones that look amazing.
That's on camera.
So I no longer know whose is which, because I hope you can recognise your own.
Maybe we put too much.
The one I dropped.
Was it egg? Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see like where we didn't put egg.
Are these yours?
Yeah, might be, yeah. They look quite eggy by that.
Oh, good.
Everyone's popped up.
Oh, it is yours.
And it's sad, aren't they?
No, I think they look delicious.
Makes the place up. You could put lemon curd and cream inside, and then put a lemon icing on the top. You could flavour your fondant with some lemon and colour it. You know. Yeah, just put a little bit of caster sugar in, and just keep tasting to make sure you don't make it too sweet, because you really don't want too sweet cream, and a little bit of vanilla. But just add a bit of taste, and that's all, because you just need to pump up your cream a bit. But nobody tell. What happens at Marengo stays at Marengo, guys. I don't want anybody telling me my rolls are the worst.
So what happens at Marengo's stays at Marengo's unless you happen to catch it on one of the 2 separate occasions I shared that footage to my YouTube channel. Oops, again. After we'd all finished baking all of our goodies, we had the chance to sit down and actually taste everything. And what was lovely was that we used the ones that Jane had made so that we could all try everything, but still have a complete batch of it all to take home with us too. So we enjoyed her single proof rolls with some egg mayonnaise, and they were absolutely lovely, I do have to say. And of course then there were our chocolate eclairs, which were filled with whipped cream and topped with that chocolate fondant as you saw. And then we even had some scones with fresh cream and jam, but that was earlier on, as you also saw. These were served with some champagne, which was also very nice, but unfortunately I was driving and I don't actually drink alcohol either, so I instead had some lovely elderflower press, and then, yeah. Come and be the face of Bake with the Legends.
Go and be a bit of background. She is a bit background Bake with the Legend, but that's where all the hard work comes, so all the organisation is Lowry, so not really background at all.
She puts the leg in Legend.
Yeah, so she puts the legend. That's so corny.
First of all, yes, that was an absolutely appalling pun, but can I also just add, in hindsight, I meant she puts the legwork in Legend, which would have been probably equally terrible, but made slightly more sense. But anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, you've got a few classes coming up, and we've got more classes over the summer, we've got different bakers, and yeah, it's all on bakeforlegend.com.
And it's really good fun. So whether you're a baker or a non-baker, or you have never ever put a cake together before, we just all have a laugh and usually turn out something brilliant, don't we?
Yes.
Well, we don't, the bakers do. So yeah, if you want to come and join us and have a good laugh, then just check out Bake with the Legend website, www.bakewiththelegend.com, and everything's there.
And I have to say, Jane is not wrong. It was so much fun and I had such a brilliant time, to the point that I'm really looking forward to the live classes starting up again, hopefully very soon, because I would love to do more, and not only with Jane but with some of the other bakers as well, because as I say, they have such an incredible roster of talent, many of whom were some of my favourite bakers from the 10, and they all know their stuff. They're all working as professional bakers now, so they really do have loads and loads of hints and tips. While I'm here, I also wanted to just shout out the fact that while we have been in the midst of this pandemic, Bake with a Legend hasn't shut up shop. They've actually transferred online, and I know that lots of people have really loved the fact that they've been able to take part in classes when perhaps before they wouldn't have been able to access them because of geography. I follow pretty much all of them actually on social media, and I've seen photos of them doing classes with people from all over the world. I know Dan, as in Dan Beasley Harding, has got an incredible home filming setup now. It literally puts mine to shame, and he does these live classes with people taking part in the States, in Canada, all over Europe, and they're all baking along with him, and they're all producing absolutely incredible, amazing bakes and having so much fun in the process. So if you would be interested in finding out more about Bake with a Legend classes, whether that's online or in person once they open up again, then do head down to the video description. I'll put all the links you could possibly need there. And once you've had a look, be sure to come back and let me know if any of the classes take your fancy. Who knows, perhaps we'll even bump into each other at one of them in the future. In the meantime, if you did enjoy this video, please of course do give it a thumbs up, because that would tell YouTube to show it to more people. And if it's your first time here at Mr. Baker's Cakes on YouTube, then do make sure you hit that big red subscribe button before you go. If you hit the bell icon as well, you'll also get a push notification every time I upload a new video, which I usually do every Sunday at 10 AM. If we ignore the last 2 weeks. I also tend to jump on at 10 o'clock and join in with the live chat that goes alongside the premiere. So if you've got any questions about what you're watching or about baking and cake decorating in general, that is a great time to have a chat with me, because I'm there. And I think that's everything. So I'm going to wrap things up. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you at the same time next week. Until then, stay safe, take care, and as always, happy baking. Bye, guys.